Good day, everyone. Welcome to the 2021 Florida Venture Capital Conference. I am Jonathan Cole, a Director Emeritus and co-founder of the Florida Venture Forum, a retired venture capital lawyer where I spent 45 years with the law firm of Locke Lord, formerly known as Edwards and Angel. And I'm also a director and co-founder of New World Angels, one of Florida's premier angel investment groups. Today, we will be talking with DanRua, the founding CEO of Admiral, a top-tier provider of visitor relationship management services for web publishers. Thanks for joining us today, Dan.
Thank you, John.
You've had a very interesting pathway to your current position, which is rapidly, and Admiral's rapidly becoming the software suite of choice for some of the great global publishers of digital media. Can you give us more background on your journey, which seems to have touched every major critical position from the birth, emergence, financing, and growth of entrepreneurial technology companies? So tell us about you.
Sure. So first off, relevant for Florida Venture Forum, I was born and raised in Florida, Tampa, Florida. Went to UF engineering, computer engineering, was up in IBM's Research Triangle Park for a while, grad school at Chapel Hill, then went into venture capital. I partnered up with a Silicon Valley fund called Draper Fisher Jurvetson to launch an East Coast Draper fund. Did 2 funds investing up and down the East Coast US, all early stage software media companies, about 30 companies overall. Had some good exits, which gave me my own track record that I was the guy responsible for the Southeast for Draper. Ended up launching my own fund focused just on the Southeast. So I moved back down to Florida, based myself in Gainesville, where the University of Florida is based. And started investing out of Inflection. Inflection Partners was one of the first kind of national institutional players in Florida. I've been involved with Florida Venture Forum for a couple decades now, and did 10 companies with Inflection. One of the last companies I backed was called Grooveshark in music streaming space, which was a high flyer, kind of the Spotify before Spotify. It touched 100 million users worldwide, 120 employees. And when we wrapped up Grooveshark in 2015, I partnered up with the product team and spun them out to create Admiral. And so that brings us to Admiral's story today. And the team was just so phenomenal, and the opportunity we were going after was so big. I actually jumped in with both feet, not as an investor, but as CEO of the company.
So my recollection is that you and I met in a small coffee shop near the UF campus, maybe 15 or 20 years ago. I had heard about these 3 smart guys who'd come down from the north with DC and you from Carolinas and wanted to start a seed and early stage fund. And I said, I got to get close to these guys and see what's going on. I had 2 reasons. One was to figure out if there was any prospect for my law firm and law practice that you guys might surface, which was great. And the second was to build a referral relationship with a network of smart people who could send us deals that we might want to invest in at New World, and might also be a co-investor with us in deals that we found. So it was a great meeting, and I remember it. But you were on the dark side then. You were writing checks, right? And you were, had the whip in your hand, and you were. And what was the major reason or the principal reasons for you jumping into the light and joining an entrepreneurial team at CEO?
So probably a couple of big reasons. So number one, I'll just share, when you're on the investor side, you like to think that you can have influence, and you try really hard to have influence, but at the end of the day, the entrepreneurs call the shots, and they make the magic happen. And so that's always been attractive to me. Even before venture, I had started a company with my brother. And so being on the operating side is very attractive. But probably the biggest thing was the opportunity to work with this team that was at Grooveshark and then spun out into Admiral. Is really a top decile team, just a phenomenal world-class team that I had the opportunity to join and help essentially what we call save the free internet. The free internet is, and the business model of the internet is under attack from a bunch of different directions. And we had an opportunity to come in and help solve that for future generations. And so we said, let's make it happen.
We heard about this move of you from Inflection to Admiral, and I think you talked to Reese Williams, and then you talked to me, and you were trying to do a safe deal with a high cap, and we were all fidgety about that. And then finally, we heard that you teamed up with a kind of a more straight story Series Seed with Mosley and Birchmere and Gulf Shore, all great co-investors, and we really wanted to get in. So we pressed really hard. And fortunately, you found some room for us. I think you actually increased the cap size of that first offering. So we've been at this, 4.5 years. So how have we met your expectations on the New World side? How do you feel about the way your investors have treated you? Not just New World, but all your investors.
Yeah. So to be honest, I just got to tell you, we feel really fortunate. We went out for that round for, I believe, 300,000. And then the hope of potentially matching that with, I think, some Florida technology dollars that make it 600,000. And it turned into 2.5 million. We just really were fortunate. Again, Mosley and leading the round did a phenomenal job, a great syndicate. And then New World, I mean, you guys were staying with us the whole way, kind of digging into what we were doing. I could tell that you genuinely cared. Some funds kind of hang around the rim, if you will, and they just want to kind of like, toss in some money right at the 11th hour. That wasn't the way New World handled it. And you guys were just invested in what we were doing. Great questions, and came in on what was really a fantastic seed round. As we have Series A conversations, I often commented how strong of a seed we were lucky to get here in Florida. And you were a big part of that, John.
Well, yeah, I appreciate that. My recollection is at the time we invested, there was very little to Admiral. So we looked at it, there was a product suite offering of 4 products, but I think only one was more or less completed with an MVP and in beta, and the other 3 were on the drawing board, and it all looked great. And we were wondering about that. We saw some really strong competitors out there. But what we really saw was a giant pain point in the ad blocking world of lost revenue to the main publishers, and you knew someone was going to solve that problem. And we saw also a technology team, because we were all familiar with Grooveshark. It was such a fantastic story out of Gainesville. We all knew the depth and breadth of talent in the technology team. And we knew you'd provide kind of a steady hand on the tiller with these bright young folks. So we got some really good confidence that out of that it would all work out well. So our assessment at the time was that we didn't know where this market was going. It was pretty murky. I wasn't sure exactly what was going to catch fire. We were concerned that revenue recapture wasn't kind of top of mind for every chief revenue officer at the major publishers. And so things kind of moved along, but we were confident that once the clarity came as to where the market was going, the technology team and the leadership at Admiral would figure out a way to bring some solutions to bear. And I think what's been so great about it is that not only has Admiral and you positioned the company to have the best technology, but you've become a real thought leader on the whole visitor relationship management world and where the internet is headed, and have worked with the advertising and internet associations to position Admiral as a real authority in the area. So that's been great. So where do you see Admiral headed over the next couple of years, and what's on the plate and what's coming up?
Sure. So, I mean, as you described, we started with our beachhead in ad blocking, and even at the time, the core idea was to get ourselves in the middle of this scrum of how is the internet supposed to pay for itself for future generations. Ad blocking was really just kind of a shot across the bow on what was coming in this massive privacy wave that now, even dwarfs ad blocking, right? So we got ad block losses for media publishers. We have privacy blockers hurting media publishers. We have GDPR and CCPA, these US federal privacy regulations that are impacting the business model. And then lastly, the browsers themselves are killing off third-party cookies, which just eats up the core business model of the internet. And so the idea was throw ourselves in the middle of that, and we would come out in the middle of a massive, massive problem, which is how is the internet supposed to pay for itself? And so that led to what we call visitor relationship management, which is just, we have the wind at our back right now. The entire industry has come right on what we call VRM. I expect, so we're doing a Series A right now. We're having conversations for that round, which are going very well. And we will take that money to reinvest in everything we're doing with VRM. And then ultimately, we also have a stage 3 we call the Internet Plus, which is there will be a time where users, not only want a unique experience on one site or on 2 sites, but they want it on 100 sites or 1,000 sites. And so we call that the Internet Plus, and we'll be offering the ability for people to subscribe very much like a Spotify or a Netflix and get this premium experience across hundreds or thousands of sites. But right now we're very focused on VRM and just helping as many publishers as we can.
Well, it's been great. You've kept the team together. You guys are working like clockwork, all remotely, I guess, during the pandemic, right? How's that going?
It's been fantastic. We were about half remote before the pandemic. The founding team was very remote friendly, and so that worked well for us. When the pandemic came, we went full remote. We haven't missed a beat. We actually had a record Q2. Then Q3 was 2 times as big as Q2. 2020 overall was a record for us. So it's worked out well.
Dan, so congratulations on everything. We're thrilled to be part of it at New World. We love Florida companies with strong talent like you guys, and let's all keep going. And everybody have a great conference.
Thank you very much. And again, I want to say thanks to you, John, New World Angels, and in particular, Florida Venture Forum has been a part of my life for a couple decades. It's an important piece of the ecosystem here, and I really appreciate it.
It's great. See you later, Dan.